All right, welcome everybody. This is the weekly co-stream that we do on Nick Gibbs' channel, Investing Against the Grain. And Brian White's not with us. Instead, we've got Hans Nelson. We're going to co-stream this also on his YouTube channel, Hans C. Nelson. So this is it, a perfect person to join us this week specifically because there's big news that came out yesterday that is looking really good for Tesla. Basically, obviously we saw the Nvidia announcement, but this one is much more in line with what we all were waiting for. So the news is that a U.S. House committee is going to hold a hearing January 13th. That is less than a week away. The bills, multiple bills, to ease autonomous vehicle deployment without human controls. So some of them, the draft proposals, we'll talk about this, but there's a lifting the cap to 90,000 per year, up from 2,500 of vehicles that could be deployed without human controls. So these are specifically vehicles that are not, cars that have passed by NHTSA and all the rules. Side mirrors, for example, is one, steering wheel, all that. But instead of just 2,500, they may lift it to 90,000, and maybe this number may change as well. They're going to ban the states from setting the rules on autonomous driving systems. Okay, this is going to be a national framework. Requires NHTSA to establish guidelines for calibrating advanced driver assistance systems, address automaker complaints about barriers to robotaxi deployment, and more. So this is Chairman Guthrie and Billy Rakis announced this legislative hearing on American automotive safety, affordability, and leadership. And this is, quite a number of rules. And again, just great because obviously China is spearheading forward. I think I heard today, Brian White told me that over 50 cities in China allows autonomous, has autonomous riding capability, or have cars there that can do that. 50 cities already. So this is Tuesday, January 13th. We will probably live stream this, or at least we'll follow closely. And these are all the different bills that are associated with this. We haven't heard from you, Hans. This is right up your alley. How big of a deal is this?
Well, this is definitely going to be, a big thing to watch. And this is one of the big questions that has been floating out there in the Tesla community, obviously, for quite a while. And I think it's behind some of the controversy between will Cybercab be sold with steering wheel and pedals or will it not? Because if we can't get it approved to be delivered in enough places, then we'll have production caps that we'll run into. And obviously, if we want to really accelerate the adoption of this technology, which will be great for the overall GDP of the United States, even though it will cause some displacement, then we really need to have a federal framework for this. And since it is technology that should theoretically operate the exact same in Miami and Austin and San Francisco and New York, it's not really something that makes a whole lot of sense for the states themselves to be able to override. I'll be curious to see what happens at the municipality level, because that will also be a big issue that, if New York City wants to say, hey, we're going to protect the gold medal or the medallion system here, then I kind of expect them to do that. That's what they did with Uber. And I think those types of challenges are things that the community should expect. But if we have a very permissive standard at the national level, then it'll basically be green flags for Tesla and for anyone else who can actually deploy lots of cars. And let's just be real, that 90,000 vehicle cap, that is applicable to one and only one robotaxi automaker this year. And so if that is passed, that is a huge win for Tesla, and would be a great thing for Tesla investors as well.
Okay, but Hans, one of the bills is to ban the states from setting rules on autonomous driving systems. This is supposed to be the federal framework. So,
but municipalities aren't states, and
okay,
that's what I'm saying. Yeah,
gotcha.
like not New York State, but New York the city.
So, first of all, what timing? Some people are going, no, that was why he had dinner with him. Well, something like this doesn't just happen the week later. This was in development already. But first of all, you've been hearing the government support robotics, support autonomous vehicles, recognize that China is, you can't let them become the leaders. We need to catch up. But the 90,000 number, Nick, is that enough for Tesla? Certainly for the first year, maybe.
Yeah, for sure. I just because you mentioned the whole Trump thing, that the day that we saw those pictures come out, I predicted on X. You guys can go fact check it.
Okay.
That this would happen soon. So
What exactly did you predict? Let's take a look.
that we will have official NHTSA DOT regulations for autonomy, and I said by end of April at the latest.
Okay.
I think that dinner cemented it. So I do think that dinner had a big deal with it. And yeah, I think 90,000 is more than enough. I don't think they'll have 90,000 robotaxi in operation by the end of the year. I think that is way more than what they'll need. I think it's going to take them a while to ramp up. I don't think it's as quick as many think it is. But I think there you go.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
gave
so
yourself 4 months, dude. It was like less than 3 days after you put it.
no, I said that by my point. Well, okay, first of all, I said it before anyone
Yes, you
said it
did.
so concretely, but that was also when Elon. I've also said I don't think Elon's gonna. Literally, next post I have like right above that, I said I don't think Elon. Same day, I don't think Elon's going to miss any more timelines. Is what I
What?
said.
What?
Yeah.
Dude, just like a week ago, you said everything we all think, you're going to push it off 6 months. You said if you say it's going to happen in June, or if Elon said, I'm going to push it 6 months. What are you saying now?
I don't think Elon's going to miss any more timelines that he puts out there. So he said April for robotaxi production. I think it's
Yes.
going to be April. And that's also why once I saw that meeting with him, Trump, Melania, it's like, oh, this is happening. It's a quid pro quo is the way I see it. Trump needs to have peace within
Midterm?
the Republican Party into the midterms, and he
Yep.
doesn't need to be fighting with Elon, and Elon needs to have this going by April. So to me, when you see them just happening to get along very, very well right now to start the year, it kind of seems like everything's in motion.
Okay, so 90,000 number. Let's talk about that a little bit. Some people said that, okay, 90,000, that's plenty for Elon next year, but it won't be enough for the following year. I think even Farzad said, well, Tesla's going to make 2 million Cybercabs per year. 90,000 is not enough.
Are you really going to do this?
No, I don't think we need
Are you
to go
going where I
deep
think you're going? Okay.
Another debate. I mean, I don't mind talking about it. It's just, but it's like, I don't know. It is part of the whole thing, isn't it?
Let's put it in the context for a second. James Dauma said that by his rough, napkin math calculations, 10,000 robotaxis would completely saturate a metropolitan market like Chicago. And right. So you're talking about being able to do that 9 times over, or 18 of those at half saturation. Yeah, and I think, that is something that is completely, market changing, regardless, even if they only have one of those, like if they completely dominated the entire metro market from San Antonio to Austin, which they could do multiple times over with 90,000 vehicles. Just that one proof point alone would be enough to shift the public perception of Tesla as a company, of robotaxi as a technology, in ways that would absolutely shatter markets.
Well, but that's also assuming that they only do cybercabs.
Yeah.
They can
even if it was Model Ys, or I think either one. As long as
you said
cybercabs are
10,000, 9 markets, that's you boxing yourself into 90,000 cybercabs. This NHTSA regulation would be cybercabs. It would not be for Model Ys.
Yeah.
Model Ys can do it right now.
Can as many as you want.
Mirrors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just clarifying.
Mm-hmm. So
like what I'm saying is Hans is this extreme conservative. If it's only cybercabs, maxing out the regulation at that point, that's that's your one.
Yeah, because I want to talk about CyberCab because if you just said, and I think all three of us agree that the April timeframe looks like it's still on track. So they're going to start creating a CyberCab and launching it on track in April.
I
You're
guess
not going to.
let me state right here that I think that's the number one most important thing for Tesla investors to be focused on this year is what is the actual production start date for CyberCab. I think that is the single most information dense piece of information that we're going to get this year.
Herbert, what would yours be? Because that wouldn't be mine. What's yours?
Oh, the single most information dense? Yeah, I don't think it is CyberCab.
What would yours be?
Why would it be CyberCab? Because you can just use Model
Well,
Ys and they
no,
can
don't ask
build it
another
out.
question. Answer the question.
Yeah, it is FSD, 20 times safer than a human.
Oh, really? That's your okay. Yeah. So mine would be just them actually scaling autonomy, whether it's in a city and actually scaling it there, or in multiple cities, but actually seeing the scale. I don't care if it's cybercaps. I don't care if it's robo
Yeah,
taxis.
that's what
I
I'm
don't care
saying.
any of that. It's the scaling of it. To me, that's the most critical. So it's just interesting. Like we're all Tesla
Yeah.
bulls, right? But we all have different things we're looking at.
Well, I think, yeah, mine is aimed at the same thing. The date of CyberCab, like whenever they decide to actually turn on the production line for CyberCab, tells me that they expect to be scaling it over the next 12 months. And so it's just like the leading indicator of what you're talking about, Nick, that, absolutely scaling up.
Yeah, I guess. But I mean, it's just like you don't need CyberCab to scale, right? You
But
wise.
if you think it's ready to not have a steering wheel and pedals, then that's when you actually scale, and that's when you turn on CyberCab at the same time.
So then, Herbert, I know you got your docket, but
No, I don't. Just
okay,
keep
cool.
going.
So me and my best friend, who let me plug here, we got a new podcast called Behind the Trade Podcast. 4th episode just dropped. But we were talking about this last night about FSD is so good right now.
Yeah.
It is so good, right? Like I haven't seen it make a mistake.
Yeah.
And so the only time that I've taken over in the last, I don't know, like 3 months is to avoid this one pothole that I go by on the way to the gym. That's it. And Hans, I know you know about potholes. So that's it.
Poor Hans. Yes.
Well, it was a blessing in disguise, right? It worked out well for him. But it's ready. Like we were talking about, like, what is their holdback right now? And the only thing I can think of is that they are still working on the back end software, the orchestrator of the network of, hey, we need to get X amount of vehicles out there. We need a high demand peak. Where are they located? How do we shift it? Like, I feel like that's like, I don't know what else would be holding them back at this point. Like, what do you guys think?
I think on that, the piece of the puzzle that I have been waiting for, that we know they're doing something about, we just don't have, I haven't seen any visibility to this. So unless, hey, if you guys out there in internet land have data on this, send it to me on X if you guys know. But they can't actually operate the robotaxi network or even go fully driver in the backseat FSD unsupervised if they're going to continue to rely on their existing maps and navigation solution. Like they have to improve the quality of that. They're not driving these rigs around that do have LiDAR on them so that they don't do that themselves. So I'm assuming that right now, everywhere that the robotaxis are operating, they do have not like high definition maps like Waymo has, but definitely Tesla custom maps that are, some sort of medium resolution, that do have a lot more information about, okay, there's potholes here. Like this intersection has a wicked dip in the middle of it that you actually need to slow down for. You cannot Mad Max mode this thing. Otherwise you're going to cause, tens of thousands of dollars of damage to every single vehicle. And so like, when you go to robotaxi at scale, you have to solve not only for, the safety of the driver, but also those like quality things, which, whether they are quality issues that your vehicles themselves are going to encounter, like if you are beating them up on potholes or ditches or those kinds of things, but then also quality on the user experience type of things. And there's a lot of those problems that can be solved by, a purpose-built robotaxi map that Tesla can build in-house. And so, yeah, I think that's one of the things. Like I said, I have high confidence that they are doing this. They just haven't talked about it at all. And we don't know what that's actually going to look like at scale.
Yeah, I
Robert, what do
agree
you
with you.
think?
No,
You really
yes, I've got an
agree?
answer to
Okay.
that, but I want
'Cause
to
I want to push back on that one. But go. What do you got?
yeah, I want to jump on that maps thing because I totally agree with you. Like almost the only times I ever intervene now, and I've been 8, 9 months now, of no critical disengagement, it's because of the mapping. Mapping is just like, why are you doing this? Okay, I sometimes I'll go, let's see what happens, and then I let it go, and then one time I go, oh, that was not actually a bad decision. But most times it's like I don't want to waste my time. I'm going to stop and I'll turn it back on again. Now, Hans, though, I heard that maybe the car, I mean, if you piece together everything you've heard from Ashok and you see the videos, the car is capturing data, video. And so they actually do have maps. Like all the cars ever driving anywhere is already capturing video of the actual thing. It's going to be so much better than Google Maps or anybody else's Apple Maps. This is going to just blow every way because it's going to be
Yeah.
high.
So I think what you're referring to is they do have the ability to reconstruct driving environments, and then they're using those driving environments in the training simulations.
I know that,
They've
but then
never
you
actually
take that,
referred to
right?
turning that into a full. Obviously, the pieces are all there,
Makes sense, though,
but
right?
they haven't talked
Yeah.
about actually
So
making their own maps with
the
those.
reason I think that they've delayed, why everything's been delayed a little bit, I don't think it's operations guys. I mean, they've been hiring operations managers. That's not the critical part. They know how to do that part easily. The hardest part for them is, it's like, okay, it's the next version of FSD. This version that he talked about, that it's going to be a 10x parameter that's going to roll out in January, February, which is here we are. They're already been using it. So why would you say, okay, I have 1,000 robotaxis in Austin, remove the drivers now, have 1,000 out there using the 14.2, 0.3, whatever. Let's go ahead and just start using the new one and dramatically reduce the chance of a safety intervention. And we're right there. And I think that that's what they're testing now.
So, yeah. So, let me push back first on the maps and the
Are you going to
potholes.
push back on both of us?
Yeah, because you both.
You're both wrong.
No, not wrong. It's just my opinion.
Okay.
Like, we won't know that I'm right until a few months.
5 days from now.
Exactly. So, but not joking, obviously. I don't think it's the map. I mean, again, you guys talk about maps. We don't have any maps issues here in Florida. So launch it in Florida. Screw Seattle and Texas. They're scrubs. Maps.
Hey, maybe it's great in Austin. It's not great here in East Texas.
Oh, okay. But they literally no issues with maps. But even then, like I don't think that would be the reason you don't launch, because even then you could just drop a pin wherever you want to go if it's not right. And Waymo uses Google Maps. We're using Google Maps. Like it's, I don't think that's it. And then potholes, they're already collecting that data with the vehicles. So like, it doesn't happen as quickly as I think it should, but I can see actively that with certain updates that come out, it will avoid where I've taken over, given feedback for potholes. Like I can see that. So I do imagine that they'll use, some of the telemetry data they have. I mean, I don't know exactly what all they get from their systems, but like when you see a huge dip like you're talking about where the suspension gets compressed by a certain amount, all right, that's clearly a pothole, and let's update the rest of the fleet to avoid this part of this lane. So I think what's his name? I'm so bad about this. He came from Rivian, worked at Apple. Help me out, Herbert.
Phil.
Yeah, Phil's great. He's talked about this, about kind of this like back end network that will eventually happen, if not already happening. I think he's talked about there's already like signal that's happening.
Yeah, I could totally see it being like, maybe you don't rip out Google Maps entirely and like replace it 100%. Maybe it is like
it's layered.
a layer that you put on top of
Exactly.
it. But
Yeah,
yeah, you've
that's
got to
exactly what
have you have to have some way to store extra data that is not fully captured in your Google Maps.
Yeah, exactly. And Tesla's using a lot of they use their own data centers. Um, I swear, these news apps are so behind X. It's like you hear a signal come on CNBC, like, "Oh, what's going on?" Like that came out like an hour ago. Like, what are we doing here? Sorry, but yeah, it would definitely be a layered approach that they would do, and that's very common with many industries. But what was I going to say? I
Well,
suppose.
you've just successfully dismantled Hans both points. So how about me? Dismantle my thing.
Oh no,
They're waiting for
I actually
14.3.
I kind of agree with you. Normally, I wouldn't agree with that point, but they have
Okay.
kind of they've talked about the 10x parameters over and over, and
Yeah.
I feel like we've gotten like 3 updates, and we're like, this is it, and then they're like, no, actually, not yet. And it's like, all right, when is it? And they're like, oh, it's gonna come. And so I do agree that if they haven't shipped out the 10x parameters, which based on what they've said, sounds like they haven't, it would make sense that you want to wait for that to come out. What I don't think is if it wasn't for the fact that we're going to go from whatever we're at now, 5 to 10 or whatever we are right now. I know like they've said 3x and they said 5x. Now they're saying 10x parameter count. But if it was just about, well, we're going to wait for this new version and it wasn't such an increase in parameters, I would say that's not it.
Right.
Because at that point, you could always wait for the next version with a little more training data, right? But
Yeah.
this is not exactly just a new trained version. This is increasing the amount of weights that you have in an
And
entire
remember,
model.
Elon said 14.3 is it. I'm curious, Hans, what you're thinking on this?
I could see it going either way. It feels to me like there's a tension between the progress that we're making in information, like intelligence density. And, Elon actually talked about this a little bit in the Peter Diamandis Moonshots podcast episode. It's like, intelligence per gigabyte is one of the key metrics. And so
Yeah.
I think he's been saying, hey, we're going to, when he's saying 10x parameter count, we're going to have a 10x bigger parameter file that we're going to use. And then they keep doing things and they're like, oh shit, we can fit that exact same amount of intelligence from that 10x bigger parameter file size into the same file size that we have today. And so I think there is that like cat and mouse game that's going on right now. And so it's really actually hard to know, do we need those 10x parameters in order to cross the finish line or not? I could definitely see it going that way. And I wouldn't
they
be
don't need it,
surprised.
but they want to reduce the chances of any issues. And this is just, the two or three times
Yeah,
safer
and
than
like
the human can become 5 times safer than the human.
if you're betting, turning on the printer for cybercabs on the software, then you probably want to play it conservative and you probably want to go ahead and push the software as far as you humanly can before you actually turn it on. So it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I would also, I guess maybe the other argument too, that this kind of dovetails into what you're saying, Hans, is what's the rush right now? If cybercabs are about to start production in April, we might as well wait till we get then just to get another version out, to get a little more data. Maybe we add a few more vehicles. We just test yet another month or two. Like, why not? We're not even printing cybercabs yet. We might as well be a little more patient. What's 2 months? It's nothing.
Yeah, except Elon sets these goals, and he said 6 months ago, 50% of all the US will be served by robotaxi. And then he said 10, 20, 10 cities will happen by the end of the month. And so he's trying to set these ambitious goals because time is
Yeah.
money, and
But
he's driven
and
speed.
that's the other reason why I'm so confident that he won't miss any more of these timelines this year. Besides meeting with Trump, besides the fact that we see these rumors all of a sudden coming out about the regulations, but also he's saying these timelines of things that are going to happen. And it's not like we're saying like end of the year at the start of the year. He's saying like, hey, and he said that at the last earnings call, right? So he thought in the next 3 months, these things would happen. So the timeline of his predictions of these big things happening is shrinking quickly. So it tells me we're a lot closer.
I would say the only, not that I would fully support this argument, but the only counter argument to that is that you probably would like to have that software out in the wild, not only being tested on the robotaxi fleet, but in some form or fashion. And maybe they do, maybe it is running in shadow mode on customer vehicles right now, but you'd think you'd want it actually in the real world, not just getting simulation validation, unless their simulation validation is proving to be superhuman.
But if we get it by the end of January, then that's still 3 months before. That's more than we need for anything, Like, it's plenty of data. And especially when you already see how few interventions exist out there. Like, this is something else I was thinking about last night and this morning when I was driving to the gym. I guess mainly this morning, I'm driving to the gym. I'm not driving. FSD's driving me to the gym. I'm just sitting there thinking, like, man, I keep thinking about the operations of it and the command stations that they're going to have everywhere. And it's kind of like airlines where you have to have, kind of control towers for everything. But, in case something happens. But I keep driving this and it's so good. Like, it's I forget like how good it is. And then I start to think they're really not going to need that many people to monitor these because it's already so good and it's only going to get better. And it just like you start thinking about that, like, man, this really isn't going to be the limitation that I think a lot of people think it's going to be, as far as like how many people to how many vehicle kind of thing. I think it's gonna be a lot less.
Yeah, I think of the human, supervisors that are or remote supervisors a lot like the data labeling team for early autopilot. Like, there used to be a ton of humans that had to label tons of frames of video data, and eventually all of those people got laid off, and now we label way more data than we ever did when we had humans. And that's the way that's going to go. It's just a transitionary like Band-Aid.
And what happens when Optimus starts doing those jobs? Come on, that's kind of funny.
Yeah.
No, it's not funny at all. Weird.
Oh, okay.
All right. Just to
we'll
wrap.
Just look at you to laugh then.
I didn't laugh at all. Just to wrap this up. So the House Committee.
Brian would have laughed, guys.
Brian would have laughed. We miss
I
Brian.
laughed.
I just met him. He's in China. It's like 1 o'clock in his morning. He's out there. Brian. Brian White was invited by Xiaopeng. He's going to be the very first person in the world, ahead of like these famous, what's that famous one in Europe? The drive
Audubon.
Audubon. Europe and UK.
Harwow.
So he's the first person invited to actually test out the latest generation of Xiaopeng's next gen full self-driving version, their version of it.
That is why people need to go and like and subscribe to his channel, Futurazza. Go check him out.
He travels. He's amazing, and he goes.
He's the most legit journalist in the Tesla community.
I would get, because he goes. He physically goes, and he's
funniest.
He is the funniest. I can't think of somebody else who's funnier than.
He's like my type of sense of humor. He's so dry and like can be like
very witty. He catches me, and it takes me like 30 seconds to go.
Hans, he got Herbert so good the other day for his last one. Yeah.
It's like the way he left the show, because like we're like saying goodbye, and he's not going to be able to do the show anymore. And then he goes, the last question he asked was, "So do you guys like pineapple?"
Wait, no. Hold on, horrible setup. Herbert was like, "No, you can't go yet," and he's like, "Okay, well, hold on. Let me ask you a question." And then
Go. Do you like pineapple pizza? I go, "Yeah, actually, I do." He just gets up, leaves.
Yeah. He was trying to like create like a conflict at the end, like about why he can't do anymore. He's like, so
it was so funny.
You had to be there.
Okay,
it was funny.
Let's wrap this up. The U.S. House Committee is on January 13th. Is going to vote or discuss a number of bills. Look at these number of bills here. There's so many of them to basically ensure the U.S. is going to have maybe a federal framework. I don't know how to but basically remove uh, obstacles for autonomy to take over the U.S. And so this is great. Look at all the bills that they're going to talk about. I just wanted to point out to folks that this is, thank you, Alexandra, leading the charge for all of us again. Find out if your congressperson is directly involved. Here are the 25 members of this subcommittee. And so if one of these guys is in your district, you should write them a letter. You should please contact them. Tell them what you think, that hopefully support autonomy, the move for autonomy. So take a look at this. You've got Florida, Michigan, South Carolina, Colorado, Florida, California, Texas, Florida, Oregon, Florida, Texas, Florida. Wow, lots of Florida people. New York, Illinois, New Jersey, and others. Washington. Here's
Not
mine,
to get
Kim Shriver.
political, but luckily there's more Republicans and Democrats on
Yeah,
this.
no need to be
That way
political.
they will. Well, you're showing me red and blue right in front of my face, so don't tell me not to be political.
All right.
Luckily, there's more Republicans than not, and if Trump is pushing for this, that is going to bode
Yeah,
well.
I guess that's true. Trump is definitely pushing for this, which is important.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you are watching this, please
Important
support
for
that.
GDP for
Make that
everything.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that is for self-driving cars to be able to get out there and know what I saw this one video and this guy said that actually the only thing that NHTSA cares about is the side mirrors. Apparently you can roll out a car without steering wheels. That's not an issue. I don't know how true that is, but that's what he said. So,
no
anyway,
steering wheel, just mirrors.
Yeah, just regardless. Okay, so 90,000, but you guys think that they will probably increase it the following year. Like, where does 90,000 come from, anyways? This cap.
I mean, like, where do you stop? Like, I think it makes sense to have a certain number to, like, I kind of get it. Like, what you don't want is to think of all the issues that you see with Waymo, right? So imagine you had 90,000 Waymos out there without a steering wheel, without anything. It's really hard to maneuver them if they get stuck or anything. And you get all the chaos that we have right now with Waymo occasionally. Like, that's a huge problem. That's a huge safety risk. So I think it makes sense. Do 90, like, you got to pick some number, right? Like, otherwise every number you ever pick is arbitrary. So what's wrong with 90,000? It's good enough to give people volume. And honestly, 90,000 probably came from Elon. Elon probably said something to Trump. He probably suggested something like, hey, like, this would be a good number.
You think so?
Like,
really?
well, the fact that Trump went right after, I mean, just look at the things Trump said right after. Like, I think a lot of what he's saying is coming from the horse's mouth, which is Elon. I mean, he's even saying we're going to need a lot of robots. He's saying all these things. Like, I mean, we say on the All In podcast plenty of times now where they've talked about their interaction with Trump, where he just goes and asks questions, and then he like takes these in and like he's like, okay, and then he essentially takes it for puts his own spin on things, and it's like, there's the idea. These are smart people. Let's listen to the smart people. That tends to work out well. So yeah, I don't think that's just a number that they're pulling out of thin air. It's like, what's reasonable? But there's a lot of hoopla online about the 90,000. Like, people really seem to get up in arms. All right, you're both looking at something. Like, what are we looking at?
Yeah, sorry. Well, I'm trying to put up the next story here, but
I was actually asking Grok where the number, like the current one is $2,500. Yeah, cars per manufacturer, and it looks like it comes from NHTSA's Part 555 temporary exemption process. So it looks like this is all transitional stuff, like before they can actually write full on, basically, hey, let's put these out there, let's get the data, and then once we get the data, then we're going to actually write real legislation on what it's all supposed to look like.
I think this will be real legislation.
But then the 90,000 will need to be lifted to a higher number shortly after that.
Maybe. I mean, I think what will happen is companies will have to apply to get more, and I
Get more,
think that
yeah,
makes
that's
sense.
probably,
Like,
yeah.
hey, you've done 90,000. Like, how's that going for you, company X? Like, it shouldn't just be
Gotcha.
carte blanche. Everyone can just do, because otherwise you can just put trash out there.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah, but
how are you going?
90,000 is a lot of cars if it's trash. I mean, it's like 2,500 made sense, right? Okay, I'll let you have a small number of cars. Prove it to me. 90,000 is like, what's the difference between 90,000 and a million at that point, right?
Well, because some companies might not even want to do it because 90,000 doesn't even get them the profitability, right?
So
Like
somebody said that
they might
the
want to do
reason they
like
did that,
300,000.
somebody said the reason they did that is it's to give the other automakers a chance to try to catch up.
No, I don't think so.
Doesn't make sense either.
They're not even trying. Ford said that Jim Farley said he doesn't care about robo taxis. GM's not doing crap. I mean, the other competition is Waymo, Zoox. Like, they're not OEMs.
Oh.
Like,
Yeah.
NVIDIA, if you call that competition. Like, I don't know. Like,
You
it's
want to
not
talk
OEM.
about that? But before we get there, I just want to ask you guys, because I haven't asked you this. Have you seen these photos of these Cybertruck and a Model Y? But they have really interesting kind of camera setup. I wonder whether the new camera hardware on these Tesla engineering validation vehicles is only for validation, or if they're also testing potential additional camera locations for future vehicles. I don't know why it would be for Banish, but look at this. So this I get, right? I mean, Hans, we've seen this everywhere. That's great. But look at these camera setups on these Model Y and the Cybertruck. What's going on here?
I think that since these vehicles are set up with the whole mapping type setup, that those cameras are actually being used as part of that task. Like, it's not impossible that they are doing something for future vehicles. We've seen them test out placements for like cybercab cameras on Model 3 test
3s.
mules. But the fact that you have the same exact rig set up on a Cybertruck and a Model Y next to each other, like, you're not going to have something that is the exact same amount bigger than the Model Y bumper and the exact same amount bigger than the Cybertruck bumper. I think that it's just part of their expansion of, hey, let's get some more camera data at some more different angles down at road height. Maybe this is supposed to be something that's going to help improve the whatever neural network they're using to actually detect the potholes from the traditional cameras, that we're going to use extra cameras down low, and then we're going to have extra cameras up high, and then we're going to train something that can tell from lower on the ground how deep a pothole is. I don't know if that's something they are not working on. That's a possible use case that I can imagine. But yeah, I think this is mostly mapping.
Yeah. Glad I asked you, because I was thinking it's going to be a new car, but it doesn't make sense. It's like, okay, just extend the bumper. Doesn't make sense. And both the Cybertruck and the Model Y had kind of the exams set up, so it's not like a new car. Yeah. Doesn't make
Not
sense.
that
You're right.
Herbert S. Nick, what Nick thinks.
Hans is the expert, dude. What do you know?
What makes him an expert? He lives in Texas.
Just go ahead. Okay. Next. Just kidding.
I don't know what that means. He lives in Texas. I'm just saying something. That makes me a geography expert. Geographically, based on where they're located, it tells me that this is I do think that it could be. I think the simplest answer is based on what we've already seen before, which is like what Hans said for the Cybercab. I think it is for another vehicle, and so what it could be.
Oh, wow!
Is getting camera data for the Roadster cameras will be on the, what was that, the Model 3 that we saw there, or Model S?
It's Model Y.
And then it was a Y.
Y, okay. And then for the Cybertruck, it could be, maybe they're gonna bring the Model YL here, or maybe it's for a Model YL in China. They're getting data here now. But for the Cybertruck, it could be because they're like, all right, we gotta do something with this line. We're not moving that many Cybertrucks. Let's do an SUV. An SUV would be a little longer.
Okay.
Simple answer. I mean, like, we've already seen it before, so
yep, that's a great, good discussion. I think I believe Hans, but well, I actually answered the way
Hey.
you did, Nick. Yeah.
I
He never
hope
believes
that
me,
I'm
so
wrong.
don't take it as a compliment.
I hope that we get a Model YL and a Cybertruck inspired SUV.
But
So.
even if we don't get the Model YL, they could still want to have that data so that they can use it in China.
Or we could have the
Whatever.
Cybertruck F-250.
Okay.
That would be pretty freaking almost freaking badass.
Okay. Is this another signal?
Forget
for
the SUV.
Tesla?
Let's do that. I'm with you.
Nice.
Let's do that one.
That's going off the rails here. Okay.
I don't know. That's what else you can do with the 250 other than go off the trail.
Okay, another signal for Tesla and their robotaxi plans is this one here. Tesla hired.
I agree.
Tesla hired a robotaxi operations manager for Dallas Fort Worth. Her name's Melanie Portillo, and guess what? She worked at Cruise as a commercial operations manager. I mean, robotaxi operations manager,
Stunning.
who worked at Cruise. Okay, can you?
This is beautiful. I mean, like, I love seeing this.
I love seeing the Tesla model logo.
too.
I agree. That is gorgeous. I agree with you.
Yeah, very white. Like it's like just great like contrast.
Reel it in, dude. Reel it in. And focus. Jesus.
I was trying to make a connection to her teeth. Like her teeth are like those are perfect teeth.
Oh my God.
They are.
Okay.
What?
How long will it take you to get past
she's
this
got
little?
great dental hygiene, clearly. I'm just saying. Like, look at us smiling. None of us have teeth like that.
Robotaxi operations manager for Dallas. Okay, Hans, bring us back, dude. What is this? What's going on? First,
Cruise,
Dallas.
So I'm a little bit skeptical of her, regardless of the quality of her teeth. Her pedigree concerns me.
Oh, really?
No. Commercial operations manager for Cruise.
Hey, there are diamonds in the rough in lots of places. So
that's not a diamond in the rough, my friend.
Maybe there was good talent at Cruise.
Just because one thing happened that wasn't their fault. By the way, I'm interviewing the co-founder of Cruise on Friday.
The thing that happened was their fault. They lied. That is their fault. When you choose to lie,
yes,
the onus is on you to not lie.
Yes. That's the executive's fault.
Obviously, the big signal here is that, we're pushing ahead and hiring for expansion of the robotaxi network, and that's exciting. And, expanding into the Dallas area is a big piece of signal as well, that we're not just talking about, doing San Antonio to Austin, maybe up to Waco, but actually connecting the entire...
all of it. Yeah.
Yep. We'll go... Eventually, it'll be, a nice triangle from Houston to San Antonio to Dallas Fort Worth, and that'll be quite an impressive feat. And just talk about a powerhouse of an economic zone. That's going to be insane.
Yeah, Herbert, have you ever been to Houston?
That you could take a robotaxi from Austin to Dallas?
Yes. If you can do Dallas, if you can do Austin, you can do San Antonio. Everything between the cities is easy.
It's easy. It's highway.
That's easier. That's less of a challenge.
And they don't care because
it's really just a matter the reason that Uber doesn't do that is because human drivers don't want to drive that far, and you don't want to drive your vehicle from here to there, and it's all about fleet management. But when you have cheap vehicles and you own the vehicles and you don't care whether they're parked here tonight or there tonight or wherever, then those types of trips in between metro areas are super, super easy to manage. It's trivial logistics.
Yeah, no, that's what I think is extremely exciting is when you start, I think obviously you see the same thing in California, right? You've got San Fran, Palo Alto, I guess a lot of people who've never been there, Palo Alto is not near San Fran. It's an hour drive, if traffic behaves, so and that's so many people live in San Fran that work in Palo, so to be able to connect that. And again, if you're in those two areas, Palo Alto is tiny, right? It's almost like suburbia, but if you can connect that, all of a sudden, wow, that's huge. So many people would do that commute or take the train that goes from San Fran down there, and that train, like, it leaves at like 5 p.m. And guess what? A lot of people don't get done with work at 5 p.m. And so then they can't take the train, so then they have to drive, and then if they sit in that traffic, and it's just awful.
Especially when we start getting some boring tunnels connecting them, it's going to be easy peasy.
It's going to cost $17 billion for the first mile, though. Another joke. No one's. Hans, I'm happy you're smiling, laughing.
I don't. It's nothing.
These are
Nothing's
good
landed.
jokes.
Nothing's landed. We miss Brian. That's what we miss. Stick to your lane, dude.
I don't know. I like having Hans here.
Stick to your lane. I think it's a haircut, man. What happened, man? Last week, everybody was making fun of you because he had his black nails, and he tried to explain it, but he did it like at the end of the show. It was because he went to a New Year's Eve party. Went to a New Year's Eve party. Cut his hair. Is this a new 2026? Is that what this is, or is this just the flavor of the week?
It's still me. Flavor of the week?
Yeah.
Man, that's inappropriate.
I mean, you've had your long hair for a long time.
Yeah.
Ever since I've known you.
Well, you want me to grow it back? All right, I'll start tomorrow.
No, I told you I like this look. Okay. Hans, so I guess we have to address an NVIDIA bombshell of Alfa Romeo. And, obviously, Jensen Huang himself said Tesla is the most advanced autonomous vehicle stack in the world. But people don't believe him. So this guy asked James, any thoughts on NVIDIA Alfa Romeo self-driving AI announcement? Should Tesla be worried? And look at what James Dama said. James said, no, this is not competition for FSD any more than Lego releasing a space shuttle kit is competition for a Falcon 9. I mean, that is this is...
And James isn't prone to hyperbole. I kind of love this coming from James.
I don't think that's hyperbole.
And then he basically explains that NVIDIA is a tool that creates ADAS systems, and then the cars, automakers still need to implement it. They're just tools. I'm not going to read all of it because I've done it in another show. But Elon Musk replied saying, NVIDIA is providing helpful tools to the auto industry, but the auto industry is doing very little on their own. By the end of this year, Tesla will have spent about $10 billion cumulatively just on NVIDIA hardware for training. We combine that with our own. So that means that if you're an automaker, you might need to buy their chips to build training, or do you not need the chips training anymore? We can combine that with our own AI4 chips, inference, processing vast amounts of video. We would probably need to spend double that amount if they didn't have their own. Tesla didn't have their own. So, and then we're making 2 million cars a year, all with our own AI4, 8 cameras, redundancy, steering, actuation, and other systems, and high bandwidth communication. So if you're a car maker, these are the things you need to do. What's your thoughts on that, Hans?
Yeah, I mean, one of the great thing, I'll just start out by saying NVIDIA, Jensen Huang is an incredible CEO. He's the best CEO in corporate America besides Elon himself. And his vision for NVIDIA is always trying to see how are people using what NVIDIA is putting out there to solve the biggest, hardest problems, and then figuring out, okay, how do I configure NVIDIA around solving more of those problems over the next 5 years than the people who are at the cutting edge are solving today? And so this is like classic Jensen Huang strategy. And he's trying to create the platform that other people that don't have the prowess that Elon and Tesla have to be able to build these types of systems over the next few years. And I think, this is going to be something that is successful for NVIDIA. It's going to create other entrants who can actually get, this is going to be a lot better capabilities than anything that the other automakers have been able to create to date outside of China. But that said, by the time that we finally have someone who's really creating something that's as good as FSD version 14 today, Tesla will already be operating millions of autonomous robotaxis, and they'll end up having the type of network effects that come along with that. That, just Uber being first and being the best capitalized meant that they ended up winning the rideshare wars. And the same type of dynamics are going to play out in autonomous ride hail wars, except that there's not going to be a credible lift. Like, no one is going to be close enough to Tesla to be able to have meaningful presence in most of the country. And then the network effects will just lend to one, geographic monopoly. So that's how that's going to play out. I could see, I think that the most likely outcome here is some non-OEM company actually being the one to really aggregate enough of the data and coordinate some sort of basically Android type solution that gets licensed to all the OEMs. And that will be something that's further behind. And unlike, the nice thing about Android, people always like to say, hey, there's going to be an Android solution to Tesla's iOS solution for full self-driving. Except the thing that assumption misses is that Android actually ran on a lot cheaper, more ubiquitous hardware than iOS. And the way that it's shaping up right now, all of the non-Tesla versions of full self-driving are going to be on more expensive and less ubiquitous hardware than Tesla. And so it's going to be a real uphill battle for, something like an Android to have any traction. And then you also have to remember that the only reason that Android existed was because it was subsidized to the tune of billions of dollars by Google as a defensive play. And so whatever this is going to be is going to have to be something like that. And, maybe it is that Google just says, hey, we don't want Tesla to have an uncontested market lead in this. And so between them and a partnership with Jensen, who has ungodly amounts of cash he's got to figure out some place to spend the billions of dollars in free cash flow that he's generating right now. So maybe between him and Google and Waymo, they do team up together to do something like this. But that's what it's going to take. That you're going to have a titanic effort by industry juggernauts in order to come anywhere close to even competing as a distant second place to Tesla.
Okay. You want me to go? You want to go? Okay, your turn.
Well, I thought you were going to say, Nick, what do you think?
I don't need to. You're a whole co-host, man. You can just jump in anytime
I'm
you
not
want.
a co-host. I need to be spoiled and pampered.
Nick, I'm very
agree
curious
with-
what you think, because you're very intelligent,
Thank you.
but I'm
Jeez.
distracted by the whiteness of your teeth. So
No, they're nothing like hers, dude. Hers were.
stop it. Move on.
You brought it up. I wanted to move on.
Okay.
Keep bringing me back. I agree with everything Hans said. And I posted about it with a little more colorful language. But with that said, I don't want to reiterate what Hans just said. Let me tell you about what I felt was very improper about Jensen's performance. I believe he said some fibs while he was on stage, and that he knowingly did.
Mm-hmm.
Or he tried to bend the truth to certain wordplay. He knows that Tesla's version FSD is end-to-end. He knows that.
And
He's
that
not
it's
an idiot.
reasoning.
And that it's reasoning. He's not an idiot. So it's very interesting to hear him say that. It reminded me of Biden up there saying, "You led, Mary." That's what it felt like.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he was very quick to kind of play stupid with Bloomberg and be like, "Oh, if they're reasoning, no, I'm not aware of it, but it wouldn't surprise me." It was interesting. And then I would also say it was a little disingenuous the way they showed what they showed.
Mm-hmm.
Many people watched that and they thought, hey, NVIDIA has a FSD version of software that now every OEM can just buy, and now they'll have FSD. That is how this comes off. which is not what it is. All right. So what we saw there was you saw Jensen selling. And I would say you saw Jensen selling pretty hard and pretty aggressive into a market that he wants to really tap into. Because if I'm were to guess correctly, I would say he doesn't have a lot of companies that are buying his chips for autonomy other than Tesla, maybe Zoox. I don't think you're seeing a lot from Ford. I don't think you're seeing a lot from GM. I mean, I'm sure they're buying, but I don't think I think he's trying to push the narrative the way Tesla is spending $10 billion in a year with them. And go ahead, Hans.
Yeah, I would agree with that. But he's also, I think, trying to position NVIDIA as, basically the hope, the salvation for these OEMs, that when these OEMs have their oh shit moment this year, watching Tesla robotaxis start to deploy at scale, they're going to be like, oh crap, where's the Bosch that I can run to and buy this off the shelf? And NVIDIA is going to be the closest thing to that.
Exactly. So, and we've seen this year after year. NVIDIA comes out with a new ADAS type system, something, right? And, as I would say is in the nature of CES, it all kind of becomes vaporware. It's the same thing that Elon has always said, that he hates all these companies that have these beautiful models and concept cars, but then we never see them on the streets. I feel like that's CES in many ways. I'm not saying nothing's ever come out of CES, but and it's cool just to see like where people's imaginations are going. Like, yes, but I think too often the public see what they see there and they think, oh, this is the technology is coming out tomorrow, or this is live, or this is production ready. I'm here to tell you, as someone who is deep in the tech world, most of what you see when it comes to demos, they're demos, and they are not ready for true production. And most companies, when they do an actual GA of their product, it's really still in beta. And that GA is going to have a rough year while they iron out kinks. You are the tester that they can't get to scale, so they need to use you. This goes for every software company. This is for every robotics company, every hardware company. They all do it. Every single one of them do it. It's a dirty little secret that isn't really said.
Even Tesla did it. In fact, they showed this version of exactly something very similar to this in 2016 with a Model X. So it took them 10 years to actually get to commercial ready FSD. So who do you guys believe? Elon says that that's great. They have a tool. NVIDIA has a tool. This will allow automakers. I give it 5 to 6 years before they will be in a competitive reign with us, because it'll take 3 years for NVIDIA to perfect this platform, and then it'll take another 3 years for the automakers to implement it, 5 to 6 years. Or somebody like a Gary Black and others who know nothing about this stuff, but they say, oh my God, this means that every car company is, as I've been saying for years, is now going to have autonomy capability, will be out in the roads in the next 3 to 6 months. And this is now just a commodity. Uber is going to have all of these cars, every car maker. This is just table stakes.
Jason will be so relieved.
Who's Jason?
Kalikanakis, or however you say his name.
Oh, right. Jason.
Fugazi.
Yeah, I saw Hans. Bold dude, you went right after Jason and you just attacked him because Jason Kalkanis is an Uber.
That's why he blocked me.
And
you're blocked too?
He unblocked me eventually, but yeah, I was blocked for a long time.
Well, that means something if he unblocked you, man. That means that he's thinking about you. But okay, so Jason Kalkanis, part of All In Podcasts, is an early Uber investor, and he's coming up with all these ways of how he thinks Uber will still succeed in a future of ride hail. And but you just went and
it's a lot of mental gymnastics to justify the fact that his Uber position, which is probably one of the largest positions that he is directly betting against his friend Elon Musk. Like, you would think that don't bet against Elon is like the core thing that you would know.
One of your best friends is Elon, and it's right in front of your face, and you still can't figure this out.
I mean, he does. he's talking based on his book. I mean, his money's there. He's gonna try to spin
But,
it.
but dude, how like
Take that money out and put it in Tesla.
yes, exactly. Like
He
it's
should
like
have done that.
how much
8
easier
months
of a
ago
layup
when?
do you want?
Yeah.
Like, hey, you want to be a billionaire too? Hey, how about you move your money into Tesla instead of Uber? And then you won't be the one that everyone gets, that has to go fly first class with United instead of going on your private jet. Like he's
Then
literally
Sachs
got the
can
golden
go
ticket
stay at
right
his
there.
house instead.
Exactly. That is a great podcast, by the way. Fantastic.
It's a great podcast. I think they're 3 billionaires, and Jason is a
And Jason.
$600 million.
Yeah, the lone Democrat. What do you expect? No.
Is that
Who's
what it
there
is?
for
Is that what
the
that
taking?
is? Sure.
There for the taking. No, but yeah. Oh,
He is underappreciated. A lot of people crap on him, and he makes himself easy to crap on. But like the way that he hosts the podcast really it increases the tension and therefore the entertainment value.
And it's, I'll tell you what I love about the four of them, and I'm not giving Jason a lot of crap here, but I do like him a lot because they can have a very heated discussion and then move on to the next topic. It just rolls right off their back.
Yeah, he doesn't get pulled into it. Yeah, he just laughs.
No, I mean him and Sachs will get into it, but then they go to the next topic and it's like, all right, well, we're good. And it's like, all right, like it's. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know if all couples are like that, but with me and my wife, if we get in an argument, there is like 5 minutes later. All right. Anyways, like we're not gonna sit there and just like bask in this like disagreement. It's like, all right, we had a misunderstanding, we had a disagreement. Like, why are you gonna waste a whole day about this and be angry and think someone is like intentionally being malicious to you? It's like, we're friends, or that's your wife. Like, let it go. Move on. Regulate your emotions. So I don't know. I think they're a good example of how people can have different worldviews, ideologies, and still be friends and still really keep what's important, which is this, community, not Orange Man Bat. Anyways, or TDS, or Tesla derangement syndrome, or EDS, Elon derangement syndrome. Anyways, I don't know where I'm going with this, but
I don't know where. Are you done?
All praise Elon,
because I can see that you're just getting started. We're wrapping up the show, but
well, when I started like kind of ramping up because I was like, oh wait, we don't have to stop right now. Like, I don't have a hard stop. I'm on paternity leave. I don't know if you guys have a hard stop. Like, keep going. Let's want to talk about stock. I mean, look at us. We're sitting at 4:36.
I don't know. I mean, I'll be respectful of Han's time here.
No, I'm actually, I don't have a hard stop either, so we can keep going.
I love talking stock.
Damn it, guys! I got something to get to.
Tesla stock fell $20 on the day, and it went up $4 today, but it fell $20 a couple days ago because of the Jensen announcement.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, but
thank you, Gary Black.
I don't think he doesn't.
Oh,
dude.
It's the people that think like him.
Let's tie this off with a bow, actually.
Yeah.
Because I think Elon's wrong about his timeline. If anyone uses the NVIDIA stack, I think Elon's still wrong about the timeline. Because for that timeline to be true, I would say they need to have vehicles outfitted with cameras and hardware. They need to have the data centers ready to go, stood up to train. And that was, I think, the other kind of thing that felt a little disingenuous about the presentation was it made it seem as if you don't need to do any of your own training or anything. Like, we look at this, it's driving, we solved this. They still have to get.
Wouldn't NVIDIA end up doing that? Because they have the data centers.
No.
They don't. They have the training data, but they don't have the money. Like nobody's.
They don't have the trading data.
They have a way for you to make synthetic data.
They have data.
Not hours, miles. They have like 100,000 miles of data that they've labeled, of real data, and then they've taken that to make synthetic data in order to put on a.
They have enough data to sell an FSD developer kit. That's exactly what they have.
Gotcha.
Just think of it as an SDK, right? Like, just think of it as that. But people still need to build out the data centers. They still need to figure out how to do what Elon did as far as building out these big data centers. Like, let's not even talk about that. They still have to figure out how to make a profitable EV. They still have to, they've all, like, there's it's taken them how many years and they still aren't making profitable EVs? Like, it's gonna be way longer. And the biggest point, Hans, you're talking about the Android example, and I love what you talked about. Like, yeah, maybe if Tesla wasn't already also the most economical to build, but here's the other thing. I think that's the wrong way for people to think about it. It's not iOS, Android, it's Google search. Like, there is no other competition. There is none. Like, Waymo's Bing. Like, that's it.
Well,
That's
I
what
just
it'll
had this
be.
conversation with Brian. Chinese automakers are the real. They're catching up.
they're Baidu.
Well, Google's
How-
not
how-
Google in China either. So yeah, I think that is a
that's
good.
Baidu.
Yeah.
So the Chinese automakers are 2 years behind Tesla because they abandoned lidar. They went neural nets. They got this full support to build data centers. The government has all the autonomy regulations. They've been rolling it out wide. They've been testing it, and they've been following what Elon's doing. Elon just actually said in that same interview, the moonshot interview, he just said the Chinese, they follow everything I've been saying: EVs, solar, battery
But it won't
energy.
matter. It won't matter because hear me out, because I think this will make sense. For anyone not in China, let's put China over here for a second. Anyone else, if they try to compete with Tesla, they won't be able to, because they won't be able to get enough vehicles out there at a like Tesla can just drop prices. And then how do you compete? Because no one's gonna ever take your vehicle, because why would I take a more expensive service? You wouldn't.
No.
So this will be a first mover wins, in my opinion. China, okay, great point, right? They're moving fast. They move faster than anyone here in the West does. They have government supporting them, right? They're very ambitious. And sure, they may win the China market. They may. But the problem is, that's not a very lucrative market. The lucrative market is the United States and it's Europe. China may eventually become, but even then, Tesla will still be there. It's not like Tesla won't be there. So even if there is a number two that's like China, I think that'll be in China. I don't think it'll be in the rest of the world.
It could be Europe.
Yeah, the question will be around, from a national security perspective, obviously the US is not going to allow self-driving technology that's owned and controlled by China to operate inside the US. China's probably also not going to let robotaxi scale do that. Maybe it's not impossible that Elon could get that done. But I think it would be, that would be quite an uphill battle. So let's just simplify the mental model and say, okay, robotaxis off limits in China and Chinese robotaxis off limits in the United States. Then the whole battlefield is rest of world. And are they okay with their data? Like which one would they rather their data actually be permeable to? And, I think that's going to be different based on, different geographies.
And even
the reason
then,
I said
now, go ahead.
that Chinese automakers and could actually win over Europe is because you know what's going on right now. The legacy automakers in Europe have partnered with all of these Chinese automakers.
They're all owned, yeah.
And they're now owned, but also, the legacy, the policies that they're trying to, the laws in Europe, guess who's actually lobbying them to bring the Chinese to let them go and sell into Europe? It's the Volkswagens, it's the Stellantis, it's those guys, because they've now outsourced the creation of their cars
That's
to
their
the
daddy.
Chinese, and they just put on their badge now to sell back into Europe. It's crazy what they've done.
Yeah,
but
it's not like that's a done deal. Like there's a lot of fight against that right now, because those are the jobs in their local economies, right? Like Germany's like that's like their biggest source of jobs, I believe, is making
and
vehicles.
national pride.
Yeah, so I don't think they're just gonna release that. France, okay, maybe France will. I think France is the second, maybe, or the biggest auto market in Europe, but I don't know. And I think you're going to see more and more of a push from we just had everything that happened in Venezuela, so think of more of like a Monroe type doctrine. But for NATO, do you really want, like, from us, like a national perspective, do we really want to be allies with people who are supporting a perceived adversary in that sense? You know, I mean, like you can tell that the world is becoming very bifurcated in that sense, and we're becoming more and more into like the BRICS countries versus, you know, NATO countries.
Thought we were talking stock. What happened?
Well, I mean, look, it's all intertwined. It's all intertwined.
Well,
Like it all dovetails with each other.
what is your stock thing? Have you anything changed in the last week? How you think
Uh,
about Tesla stock?
I rolled some May 400 leaps into
Up and
some
out.
yeah when so I think I was
Wait,
up a little under 200% on those, and I rolled out to some December 27 900s.
you did
Let
that
me shamelessly
because
plug, because Herbert clearly has no idea what we're talking about. So
I
Herbert,
don't.
go join us January 31st. I'm doing a crash course. Me and Greg are behind the trade. Find the link in my X, or DM me if you want to know more information about the course. But you should know what he's talking about. You've bought leaps before. You should know what he's talking about.
Well, I know
And
he's pushing it
that's
off
that's
because
what
he's
we
now
that's
worried that it's not going to hit his targets, right?
that's what we do with
No,
the
I
pros.
bought these a
Take
while ago and I
profit.
was up big on them, but I
Yeah,
don't want to exit. Like I want to keep
Okay.
my money in leaps. And so
exactly.
yeah, like I bought
He's making him
those.
more defensive because he's moving closer to at the money, but he's giving himself
Mhm,
more time. So Theta Decay is going to be irrelevant now. Right now, if he
mhm.
kept what he
Yeah.
had, Theta Decay
Yeah.
is going to work harder against him.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's
Okay.
giving
So I
himself
still
more.
have a June 250 that I got for a steal. Those are up real big, that I'm leaving in because I think that we might see a big move around actual Cybercab start of production.
April. If it happens in
Yep.
April, you think the stock will jump by how much? 10%, 20% more?
Oh shoot, I think it could be way more. Like we could see
Wow.
a 30% move.
Okay. I think it's built in, dude. It's like it's not like
Mm,
people don't know that
I don't.
Cybercab is planned for April.
Yeah, but
The
if
people are
everyone
seeing the
is
car.
betting Elon time that hey, it's going to say April and then we're going to push out till Q3.
Yeah, but it's not obviously not everyone because there's
Well,
cars being spotted driving around now all over, right?
Yeah, and I think
okay,
that's why we hit all-time highs, but like if you get a new level of confidence on that.
but we didn't see all-time highs during that. We've actually seen the stock continue to sell off when we've seen those signs. So I guess my question to you, Herbert, you are saying that, oh, well, everybody already knows this. Well, I would argue everybody knows that what NVIDIA is doing is not necessarily FSD. It's more of akin
No,
to
everybody thinks the
okay,
opposite way. The average investor saw that, and the average investor is
okay.
thinking they've got a
And the
competitor to
very
Tesla.
next day, Jensen came
Yeah,
out and said that
doesn't
Tesla
matter.
has the best. Did the
Doesn't
average
matter.
investor not see
Doesn't
that?
matter. Nope, doesn't matter. The average investor, they fall for this. And that's why I said, first of all, good that Elon responded right away. Ashok responded, at least gave some, their response. But what Tesla needs to do now, if they care about the stock, is this year they need to go out and show actual movement with robotaxi now. They got to do this. If they don't, then this narrative will just take over that, oh, Tesla really doesn't have a lead. Tesla really is just going to be one of many. That is, I believe, the general narrative out there that's taken over. People are concerned.
Really?
That's what I
Oh,
think. Yeah, we're in a
I
bubble.
don't think anyone has any doubts at this point.
Oh my God. Are you
If
okay? Where do
anyone's
you
looking at
live at?
robotaxi, well, there's a difference here. I'm not saying
I don't
everybody
have a
knows.
doubt. You don't have a doubt because we know it. But I'm telling
But
you,
that's
the
yeah.
average investor is not throwing all their money into Tesla because they don't build. They're actually doubt. They're worried now. They're going, oh, what's going on here?
But
Tesla's not
let
the
me
only one.
let's make this a little more clean and nuanced. The average investor isn't thinking about robotaxis, period.
True.
All right. So let's just start there. The average investor that is looking at robotaxi,
Mm.
unless they already had a Google position, they, I believe, are pretty clear that Tesla has this because they care about this topic. So they've looked into this topic. I think anybody who's looked into this, the writing is as clear as day. But I don't think the average investor has even thought about robotaxis. There's so many people that don't even know that this is coming.
True.
More than half the people who own Teslas don't even know they have FSD on it. Right? So I think it's more lack of people understanding or knowing that this technology exists. But for those who know what's happening in the space of autonomy and robotics and AI, I think they all know, especially when Jensen is saying they're the best. I think they know. I think everybody who's in the space knows.
I think Adam Jonas is actually, like we're kind of talking about retail investors and they are somewhat influential, but then you also got to think about the Wall Street side of things. And I used to feel like Gary Black did a pretty good job of communicating what Wall Street sentiments were to us as retail investors so that we could understand that, whether we agreed with him or not. But I feel like even he has kind of lost his ability to do that. I think that, someone like Adam Jonas probably speaks for a larger majority of Wall Street than Gary does. I think Gary has kind of been more marginalized, that I don't think institutional is nearly as bearish on Tesla's future, that Wall Street in general is more excited about AI. I think they're more excited about Elon's ability to execute in AI. And so I feel like when we saw those all-time highs, that's probably a signal that people who are controlling large amounts of money got, whatever peak and access that they needed to be able to see what was coming down the line. And they're the ones that actually created the move. And now it's just like, okay, where's the next milestone that they need to see then to plow that next tranche of money in?
I'll say something that I think is also kind of like a dirty little secret that Wall Street doesn't want to admit yet, or they'll probably never will, but I think it is a fact at this point. I know you are, Hans, but Herbert, are you familiar with the term dumb money?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. That's us, supposedly,
That's us.
right? We're the dumb money. We're the retail investors.
Yeah.
It has flipped. I don't think Wall Street or analysts are getting these behind the tours, whatever.
Yeah.
I think Wall Street is looking at what us dumb money are doing and what we're doing on YouTube and podcasts, and they're using that to inform themselves to make their decisions. It has completely flipped.
That is absolutely
Retail is the lead. Retail is the signal. Whether you look at NVIDIA, Palantir, Tesla, go on and on, retail is the lead. It's not Wall Street anymore. And we're the ones putting the content out there. We're the ones putting out the research out there. We're the ones interviewing the experts, the James Dalmas of the world, everyone you everyone you interview, Herbert. They're watching us. Let's be very clear about it. Like, it has inverted, but Wall Street would never admit that. And they'll still try to sit there and act high and mighty. And it's just so clear. Look at Gary Black. He tried to cozy up to all the retail investors. You have Dan Ives, who goes on the different YouTube channels to talk to people. We are the smart money. It is so clear. This has completely flipped. It's the same way in this last presidential election, you saw that the right move was to go on the podcasts. Why? We are the media now. It has flipped. It's just everybody doesn't realize this either. The same way people don't realize what's happening with autonomy. So we are the smart money. Like, looking at Wall Street is the dumb money. That's my hot take.
Love it.
I agree.
Yeah. So for me, it's not about the cyber cab. For us, Tesla investors, it's all about the cyber cab, because we understand that dollar per cost per mile is the number one metric that's going to drive just ownership of the whole market. But what it is for investors, they want to see, and I don't know what the number is. I would say 2,000 cars. Anything, it's got to be more than what Waymo has. It's got to be substantially more, and show that they've solved it. They're out there and they have more cars. And then they go, oh, Tesla, every car Tesla makes can actually be used. Done deal. That would be the moment when I see the stock jumping. But everything else we're seeing now, the stock kind of moves up as everybody hears what's going on.
Do you
see.
think it'll actually take like passing
I do
them in
personally.
those in cumulative
Yeah.
vehicles and like I think all of that's going to be blatantly clear. Like I said, as soon as they turn on the production line for Cybercab, all the things that you just said become inevitable.
Well,
And
this is again, don't want to have the whole show taken
yeah,
over by the conversation about steering wheel, not steering wheel, and are they going to sell this for a compact car? Because that could be the answer. They go,
Say
oh,
that.
well, they'll just sell it as compact car. So maybe it's not yet a robotaxi ready solution, but they're going to do this for that, plan B, right?
I don't know. I think the stock
I'm
moves
more
the second we
open.
start expanding.
Yeah, I'm more
Cybercab or
open.
not Cybercab.
Yes. It's going to be more vehicles that are going to be cheaper priced. Who cares if they have steering wheel and pedals or not? The future is
Yes.
still going to be autonomy. Like,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah. The second that they start adding actual volume into the metros they're already in, second they start announcing new cities, that is when you're going to see the stock move, and you're going to see it move,
Yeah.
I think, hard. I think like really hard.
You're talking about a car that costs about the same to produce as a Toyota Corolla that has over 100K a year in annual revenue potential that you can turn out of your factories in the volume of millions per year. Like, that's a $10 trillion business. And when you turn on the Cybercab production line, that's the beginning of that business.
Yeah. But apparently, every single car maker is going to be able to copy this in 6 months, and they'll be flooded, and Uber will be able to offer it, and they'll be just basically Tesla is just going to be a market leader, but it's going to be just one of many, and it'll become a commodity. That's the
Yep.
average
And it won't
investor.
be it
who
won't be
says this.
any bigger than current ride hailing market and all the other 100 million retarded
Yeah.
hot takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So stock has fallen, though. I mean, here we are
Is it?
back to 430s, and then
No, it's not. It's rising right now. We're up
436, dude. Okay, I said 430s. It's 436. I thought maybe you said it rose. It's in the 430s.
Yeah.
Who cares?
I mean,
it is what it is.
don't worry
Yeah.
about it. Like, look, there's a lot of noise. There's also like it's early January.
Yep.
Stock's still very constructive. We're still at all-time highs. We are at all-time highs. Okay, we're what, $50 off? Like we're at all-time highs, right? Like this is nothing. And if anything, I would say this has been a healthy pullback. It's good. You can't just go up so aggressively. Otherwise, what we've seen happen time and time again is that the stock just comes right back down. You want to create these good bases. And what we've seen is all that time that we stayed here at that 420, 430. Now look at this. There's actually a lot of volume that comes in to eat this up, to buy this up. And so I think it's constructive. Whether you're looking at it from a volume perspective, if you're a chartist, you're looking at it from that perspective. If you look at it from option contract perspective, you can see that this is a healthy thing. This is how a healthy stock reacts. Look at NVIDIA. NVIDIA is doing the same thing. Palantir is doing the same thing, right? Apple is doing the same thing. Google is doing the same thing. Now look how it's doing. Microsoft is doing the same thing. I mean, over and over, it's a healthy signal.
Let me ask you guys a question, okay? So 6 months ago, I don't remember exact time, Elon said something like, I see that robotaxi will have a meaningful impact to our earnings the second half of 2026. Remember when he said that?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, when he said that, he was also saying things like 50% of the US market will have this, 10 cities will have this. None of that happened. And so now I talked to Warren Redlick a month ago, and he was saying because that did not happen, he's going to push out that estimate of when is robotaxi earnings going to have a meaningful impact to earnings to 2027. And if that's the case, then stock won't jump in 2026. Or it may jump in the second half of 2026 as opposed to sometime in the early half. You guys, like the more that they push it off, and if they don't show a huge leap, and how many cars would you need to see? Like, 5,000, 10,000 cars, I think is what 10,000 cars is, I think, what Joe Bacty's calculated, that if you have 10,000 robotaxis, that's enough to show a 5% increase in earnings. That's enough to prove to everybody this is friggin' off the wall and it's just going to go parabolic. But you need to get to that number. And if they don't get to that number by the end of next year, you know what I mean? Everything gets pushed for actual earnings to hit.
Yeah, like all of that hangs together and makes sense, but I just don't think in this market of AI narratives that we're going to be in such a show me, like, I don't even think Tesla stock right now is as show me dependent as we kind of make it out to be. And yeah, I think like if you can show cybercabs driving around with no humans operating as robotaxis in thousands of vehicles volume, then people are going to start to bake in the type of progress that we're talking about. And yeah, like I said, because in 2026, even shy of, some of those accomplishments. Now, I still think that, just because we haven't opened up, like, who's to say that Elon wasn't dispatching a whole bunch of Tesla talent to work with 10 different municipalities, and then he's also having a conversation at the national level, and then it's like, oh, we're making a ton of progress on this national level regulation. Hey, all you people working at the city level, we're pulling you off of that, and we're now redeploying you towards, okay, we're going to get a national level approval, then what? And so it could be that, the fact that we haven't seen those 10 cities actually is a sign that we're going to move faster, not slower. Like, I'm not making a definitive statement one way or the other. I just don't think that, we can say, hey, we haven't seen that, now let's push everything out by 12 months. Yeah, and like I said, if you're shipping cars out of the factory that don't have a steering wheel and pedals in them, that is signal that Elon Musk, the CEO with the biggest balls in the whole world, has ginormous confidence to match his ginormous cojones in what is about to happen.
Man, you make me want a margarita. I don't know why. That just made me want a margarita.
Salty.
Talking about ball. Okay.
Oh, he's at cojones.
Cojones. Okay, gotcha. Oh my God, we keep getting off track.
What? You want to talk about white teeth again?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay.
You got a little.
All right. Well, I am coming to a hard stop here.
Yeah. Let's go.
But yeah, I'll let you wind us out.
Perfect. Thank you. First of all, great show. I think I don't know what we're going to call this show. It doesn't matter. The three co-hosts here, we co-stream this on all of our 3 channels.
We'll just call it Tesla Cojones.
No, we're not
like it.
Call it that. Hansi Nelson channel, YouTube, Nick Gibbs, Investing Against the Grain, and here as well. We do this every Wednesday, 11 a.m. Pacific time. See you guys all. Bye.
Cheers.
That was fun.